with what we're doing. Where both of us are.
This is wonderful. So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Chatting with Wisdom. And it has been a while since I have been here. We were just talking about how life has been a whirlwind for everyone. So, today we're going to be talking about reigniting your prosperity, power, and 4 steps to regroup, reconnect, and recharge yourself for success. And course, of course, we get the feedback. So today we're actually joining Terry Wildemann, and Terry is a visionary intuitive leadership coach for over 37 years with experience in guiding high achieving leaders towards balance and purpose. Terry is a master at transforming overwhelmed leaders into confident, purposeful, driven individuals. With her unique blend of practical strategies and intuitive insights, she helps clients achieve holistic success in both their personal and professional life. And so today we're going to talk about her expertise on how to regroup, reconnect, and recharge to reignite your inner potential. Discover practical steps to achieve work-life balance, harness emotional intelligence, and implement the shiftology process to elevate your leadership and personal effectiveness. So, how are you doing?
Well, we both need to regroup after our conversation today. We've been laughing. This topic is perfect for where we both are at the moment.
And it's just crazy. And I've been talking to a lot of different people as well, just because like life has been absolutely upside down and all over the place. And then of course, complicated grief comes back into play. At the end of this week, my dad will have passed. This will be the third year. And so like, this is my week before, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is just crazy. How everything comes to play. And so in June, somewhere time in June, I started a blog specifically about how craziness has been happening. And it's been my way of being able to debrief, my way of making sure that I've still got that work-life balance while I'm trying to get all my life back in order. We were just talking about our disasters in our space. And so like it's coming together, but not fast enough for me. So I am I'm really excited to have you here and sharing about how can we help people regroup and get back into that whole balance of getting things back to where we can when everything's a whirlwind, right? So like everything's going this way, but we still need to figure out how to be able to get that way. So
and I'm going to. I understand about the dad thing. I just lost my dad in June, this past June, just a few weeks ago. So I really understand this. That's why it's been so chaotic on my end. And my mentor of 28 years, he passed away at 12 days later. So 2 important men in my life I lost within a 12-day period. And it was like, whoa. And life is chaotic for a lot of people at the moment. The energy is shifting. Everyone I talk to is going through change, whether it's good change or whether it's more intense change. And I like to look at change as opportunity for growth. And everything that I'm going to be talking about today, I'm doing for myself right now, because it really has been very intense. My dad lived in another state. We're selling his house, taking care of the estate, and all kinds of crazy things. And it's very emotional. So I completely understand where you're at in terms of chaotic and our because there's been so much going on in this last year, from June to June. This last year has been amazingly chaotic because I live in Rhode Island. He lived in Miami, and I would be going down there for weeks at a time to take care of him, along with 2 caregivers to relieve my brother. So my poor house is it's crazy. That's the panel in the back.
I don't even hide it anymore. So it's just it's like this is the craziness of my desk, and over there is even more crazy. We are downsizing to a trailer and this mobile office and a small storage unit. So it is insane. and the things that we accumulate over the years, and
Mhm.
trying to like shift all of that. And we had my mother-in-law passed away not that long ago, and so we had a lot of her stuff. And several years ago, my father-in-law passed. My dad was 3 years, and so like we've got all these things that we've
Yeah.
accumulated, and plus our own stuff. And it's like trying to like bringing it all down into something that is in a trailer or that fits in my office that I need for work, or into the storage unit. And so it's like, okay, what do we use? What do we keep? And so, yeah, it's been a roller coaster. So, and I'm sure that with everything for the last few weeks with your dad has been,
Well,
um,
it is, and the thing is that the regrouping part, and there's a word that you said actually twice because I listened for that word. It's a word that we have been sold a bill of goods, and that is work-life balance. There is no such thing as work-life balance. Work-life balance does not exist. We have been given literally sold a bill of goods. What does exist is work-life harmony.
oh,
And
I
when
love
you yeah, so when you're in work-life harmony, what you're doing is you are focusing on what is in front of you in the moment. You're fully present. I mean, think about it. You said work-life balance twice. Doesn't that feel stressful?
it
I hate to
does.
use work. It's stressful. But when you say, look at your reaction when I said work-life harmony.
And I'm writing it.
Yeah, look at the difference in those two phrases. Work-life balance is stressful. And here's the other thing with work-life balance and why I say it doesn't exist. Let's imagine that this is a balance. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? The legal balance? Okay,
Yep.
so going up and down, up and down. When that balance is in balance, what's happened? The hands are
It's
steady.
not.
There's no
Yeah.
movement. It stopped.
Yep.
Is that what we're really striving for?
No.
No, this is what we're striving for. This is the work-life harmony because this reflects life. Work-life
Yes.
balance does not reflect life.
No.
And it's a big deal to recognize that it's important that we are truly understanding that when we are in the moment and focusing on what is right in front of us, that's when we're actually in harmony. Because how often do we, as holistic practitioners, wellness practitioners, trainers, coaches, we talk about being fully present in the moment?
Mhm.
That's really all work-life harmony is, being fully present in the moment. When you're with your kids, you are with your kids. When you're on a podcast, you're on a podcast. When you're cleaning up your office, you're cleaning up your office. When you're creating a program, you're creating a program. I just spent 72 hours, literally from Sunday to today, creating a new program as a VIP gift for a summit that I'm on. And I was like a machine, just doing this. And luckily, my husband was like, "Go for it," because he knows when I get into those moods. Get out of the way. And he also knows that that helps me regroup. So step one in reigniting your business in your life and reigniting your prosperity power is looking at your current situation and regrouping. It's about taking a step back and evaluating your current life circumstance. When you do that, you're downsizing. And downsizing is a lot. I have two other siblings, and we have been giving stuff away to my parents because we both, I look at my house, the amount of stuff that I have in here, I don't want to do this to my children. Okay.
Yes.
I croak tomorrow. They're in deep doo doo. We're getting we're getting rid of a lot of stuff. And when we identify what the pain points are and talk about it with people who really get it helps you feel better, especially if you're dissatisfied with your job, for example. Who can you talk to help you see things through a different lens? If you have financial stress, what can you do in the morning, morning, in the moment, or in the morning too, when you wake up? Step into a place where you can trust that everything goes right for you. Lack of clear goals gets us in a place where we're flipping out. We're going all over the place. We don't know where we're going or what we're doing. And you're going from one thing to another to another. So regrouping is step number one. And I like to ask folks to do this very simple technique. And that is to close your eyes and imagine yourself flying up 30,000 feet. And you're looking down on your world, your home, your car, your office, whatever it is, from the 30,000-foot view, and really take stock of what it is that you're seeing.
Mhm.
Is it really that bad? Probably not. Or if it is, okay, take a good look at it. And from that perspective, what is it that you can do to find a solution for it? And then go back to ground level and look at the situation from that perspective. So what's happening is then you're looking at whatever your world is from a holistic perspective, from up above and at ground level. And when you merge them both, you see things from different angles, from different views, different perspectives. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And like just to kind of like put it into perspective from where like where my daughter-in-law were talking, we were talking about like when we first moved, because we moved onto the property where my son and my daughter-in-law are with my grandson. And so we had, when we moved, it was like, okay, we just got a storage unit, I've got an office, we've got a trailer, everything's gonna fit. And so we took this from a 2-story 3-bedroom home and we brought it here. We tried to put everything into the storage unit, and we had literally a yard full of stuff that we had to keep tarping every night to try and figure out as we're sorting through and figuring out, because the storage unit was completely filled. My daughter-in-law's storage unit was completely filled. My office was completely filled. And it was like, okay, where am I? And then we had all this stuff in the middle of the lawn. And so just giving that perspective when she and I talked about it. And so that would have been that view that you were just talking about when we actually looked at it last night. It was like, we've got like this much stuff based on having this much stuff in the middle of the lawn because we were doing a yard sale and trying to like disperse of more things that way. And it's like, okay, so it's really not that bad. And so that was the perspective that she and I were able to look at yesterday, that it was like, it's getting better. Right. So
Yeah. There you go. Very,
so
very good. And my husband and I are we are decluttering in a big way, because when you are operating in a space of clutter, it energetically
mhm,
affects you. It
yes,
energetically gets you foggy. It energetically makes you anxious.
yes,
Now, some people love working in clutter and they know exactly where to go. Some of our geniuses, their
yes,
desks were filled to the brim, but they knew where every single paper
yes.
was. So when the assistant goes in and tries to clean things up, they flip out because then they don't know where anything is.
That's my
What- what-
son. That's my youngest son. And
Yeah.
so we would go into his room and it was like this whole, it would be like something similar to what my office looks like now. And I would walk in and I'd go in and I'd tidy things up and he'd be like, oh my God, I can't find that assignment that I had. Where did it go? And so like that was just stressful for him.
Yeah.
And so my daughter-in-law now has to deal with that. So she's like, it's just a cluttered mess. And he's like, no, it's not, it's organized. And
Well,
it is,
for him it
but not
is.
for us. Yeah, not for
And for him
us.
it is. Well, step number 2 in this whole thing is reconnecting. And the reconnecting part it's about aligning with your core values. Okay. So what are your core values? What is it that you love to do? For me, I love to be able to be in a lot of light and bright and feel really good in a space that's full of love. That's one of my values when it comes to working. And I also, when it comes to relationships, it's about having people like me around me. One of the
So,
things I learned is not only am I shedding stuff, I'm also shedding relationships, because a lot of the relationships from before aren't in alignment with who I am now. So when your relationships are in alignment with who you are and you feel completely accepted, you don't have to act differently because you're with so and so or this person. It just doesn't feel good because you are constantly in a space of feeling judged. And when you feel judged because you think that other people, and here, listen to what I just said, you think and you feel that other people aren't taking you seriously or aren't honoring who you are as an individual, when you're in that space, it doesn't feel good. Now, the thing to ask yourself is what you are feeling and what you think is happening truly real? And in order to discern that, it's about having a conversation with people. So sometimes you think or feel something about a certain person, and you end up finding out after a conversation that what you were thinking and feeling was what I call you went into movie director role. You okay, you made up this little story based on either past situations or whatever it is.
Yes.
And um, I'll share something really funny. Recently, my daughter happens to be here for a school that she's going to. And while I was down in Miami, my husband was out and about, and with my daughter, going to different places. And we live in a beautiful place. And one of the places that we frequent, people were horrified that my husband would show up with another woman. They, and he's like, "It's my daughter."
Oh, that is so funny.
It is funny. And the thing is that we step into judgment without having all the facts.
Yes, we do.
And we do that a lot, whether
Yes.
it's politics, whether it's other people, whether it's in the workplace. When we don't have all the facts, or
Yes.
if something is presented to us and we don't do our due diligence to really research it and understand that, is this really true? Recently, somebody put a meme up, and this is the values thing. Somebody put a meme up, and I was like, and it reflected her values. Hey, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I went in and I researched the meme and all the points that were on this meme, and 50% of them were untrue.
Oh, wow.
And I wrote to that effect. I said 50% are true, 50% are not true. So when you're talking about values, make sure what it is that you're putting up there, wherever it is, social media, talking about, that you really know what you're talking about, not what you think is happening. Two
Yes.
very different things. So when you connect with your values, you're going into a place of authenticity and integrity. And please remember, what you think may be true today may not be true next week or
Exactly.
next year or in 2 years or 3 years. So what you think may be true today, it's about taking a real good look at it and saying, is
Yes.
this for real? And then the next thing is finding a mentor and a role model. This is under reconnecting. Find a mentor and a role model that helps you to see things differently. A lot of people hire coaches and make sure, if you're going to do that, make sure they're a certified coach. Make sure they didn't do the weekend thing. So sorry, folks who do the weekend thing, but that doesn't fly with me. You go
Yeah.
and you go with a really good coach who knows what they're doing. um the weekend warriors, unfortunately, they're coaching people, and then something happens and they don't have the skill sets to be able to really help that person through what it is that
Yes.
was created, without them understanding what they were doing. And I've seen that happen over and over again, and
As well.
it's not a healthy thing. So
No.
find a mentor, find a coach, or find role models that really speak to your soul, speak to your heart, help you really reconnect with yourself. So that's step number 2. So step number 1 was about regrouping, and you regroup by looking at things from 360 perspective. Step number 2 is reconnecting. um, the one thing I didn't state with step number 1, by the way, which is the regrouping, is to make sure that you set clear intentions. When you regroup, When you set a clear intention when you first wake up, for example, I lay in bed, I do what is called a quick shift. And it's 60 seconds to stress relief. I go into my heart. I think of something that feels really, really good. And I set the intention for the day. Everything goes right for me. Everything feels good. This project's going to flow. And I do, Abraham Hicks has a technique called segment intending. And every 5 minutes in my mind, I visualize how it is, or I think about how it is I want those next 5 minutes to go. And it really helps. So setting those intentions really works. So I'm going to go over this again. Regroup. It's about taking a good look at your situation, identifying what are your pain points, what are your challenges that are happening at this moment. And then number 3 is setting clear intentions, and that's under regrouping. And then step number two is the reconnect portion, where you identify your core values, what's really important to you.
Yes.
You know, is it love? Is it joy? Is it having a clean space? It's about, building strong relationships with people. And lastly, finding mentors and role models that feed your soul, that really help you during that dark night of the soul that every single one of us go through at one time or another.
Mm-hmm.
And step number 3 is recharging. This is my favorite one. Recharging. And it's about self-care. What do you do for self-care?
So I do normally do a number of different things. So having a bath, being able to use my essential oils. But since moving back to the property, it has been staying in my bare feet. So as soon as I get to the house, and my mom lives just down the road, so we can go down the laneway and then cross the road, and she's there. And a lot of times I even walk over there, and so in my bare feet. And so like that has been really helpful, because I haven't been able to get all the rest of the things in place that I normally do as part of my own self-care. But going to bed at a decent time, making sure that I still have time to journal, making sure that I still have time to just decompress and do nothing. Those are things that I need to make sure that I do in order for me to be able to recharge. So today, for example, we had a very busy weekend with the yard sale. This morning, my husband and I and my grandson, my 16-month-old grandson, went for a drive. My husband had to do a delivery, and so we went for a long drive, went and did his delivery, and then we stopped at a chip stand and just hung out there with the dog, and had ourselves a little break together, and then came home. So that was our just being able to just have some time for the two of us and my grandson, and it was beautiful.
There you go. And it sounded like you were also in the moment.
Yes, definitely.
Which is
Yes.
very important. And that's, you heard me talk about the quick shift. The quick shift zone is something that I have been teaching and working with myself since 1999. And it's a big deal. I got licensed with the Heart Math Institute out in California in stress management, and was able to create some of my own practical tool sets and skill sets and tools. And the very first thing under recharging is self-care, whether it's reading a book, whether it's walking barefoot. And walking barefoot is so special for helping you ground. Oftentimes when I'm really having an intense day, not only do I go outside in barefoot, but I also touch a tree. And people say, some people say, oh, you're a tree hugger. Well, let me tell you something about trees. Trees are living things.
They are.
And when my favorite trees in the world are the banyan trees. And in Coral Gables, Florida, they have banyan trees everywhere. So when I take my walk,
I'll have to research them, because we're way up in northeastern Ontario. So
yeah,
we
they're
probably
huge, enormous trees with a phenomenal root system. And when you take a picture of them, you can see all these bazillion roots. Some of them are straight up and down, and others are very chaotic. I'm like, boy, do they not represent families or what? You know? And I find that when I put my hand on those trees, and the public works the head of public works in Coral Gables stopped by our house after we were having a tree taken down because it got hit by lightning. And he was telling me that people don't really understand that trees are families and their root system, especially before the hurricanes that come, they're always talking with one another and connecting with one another. And you can actually see the roots talking under microscopes. You can see the energy of the roots moving. They're living, breathing beings. I mean, good Lord, look at the amount of was it nitrogen that goes in the air and in the ground and all the things that they give us to be able to breathe and improve
Yes.
our oxygen. So touching a tree is a really wonderful way of just taking a deep breath, put your hand on it, and just intend that the tree take all your troubles away. It's a very, very easy little exercise. And yes, if people call you a tree hugger, yeah, and I feel so good.
Well, and we have a little guy that comes around, and so when he gets really super angry, we do that. We go and touch the tree, and we breathe with the tree. And so then we
Yeah,
breathe in and we breathe out, and we let
yeah,
all of that angry energy go into the roots of the tree and go
right.
back to Mother
Yeah,
Earth.
yeah.
And so we do that with him. He's 5, and so
Oh,
whenever he starts to get agitated, it's like, okay, let's go find a tree. And he's like,
that's nice.
okay, right? And because he feels the difference, and so it's
Yeah.
beautiful for him to be able to see at this young age how to be able to get
Well, the
that energy.
kids are so open to everything. It's we
Yeah,
adults who are jaded sometimes because of the way we were raised, and we've lost track of how we are a part of nature, not a part of nature. You know, we are nature, and when
absolutely.
we keep looking at it as outside of us, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Mhm.
Now the second step in recharging is being mindful and meditating. And people say, "Oh, meditating, blah, blah, blah." I go, "Well, guess what? The quick shift that I spoke to you about is 60 seconds. It's a 60-second meditation. It's not 15 minutes. It's not 20 minutes. And it's quickshiftzone.com. It's a free gift I'm giving your audience. Quick, Quick, shift, SHIFT zone.com. You just download the e-guide and it will give you the biology of why this works so easily. And it's super simple. You just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, shift your attention to your chest, breathe. Imagine your hand, put your hand on your chest and imagine breathing in and out of your chest. And then just visualize, as I said earlier. And if some of you say, "Well, I can't visualize," how is it that you see a Christmas tree in your mind's eye, or when you think of a Christmas tree? That's how you visualize. Okay,
Yes,
because not everybody sees things in their third eye. Some people are kinesthetic, some people are they just know. So when I use the word visualize, just imagine that Christmas tree, and that's how it is that
yes,
you can connect with that piece. And what those 60 seconds do is they lower your cortisol levels and increase your DHEA levels. So it's a very simple technique. So attention to your chest, breathe deeply, deeply. Think of something that makes you feel really, really good. And number 4 is just stay there, and you can get it done in 60 seconds.
absolutely. And we all have 60 seconds, even those of us who say, "Oh, I'm so busy." I have a friend who, one of the things that, and I love this analogy, is that she says everybody has to stop to pee. So
Ah,
take that 60 seconds while you're stopping to pee, right? So
there you
when you're done,
go.
take that 60 seconds, right? So
That's actually pretty good.
I love it because it's like you're right, like everybody has to stop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And now the last piece is very important, and this is your physical health. One of the things that I have found, even in myself and even with my family, it's about eating pure food. It's about getting away from processed foods. I was diagnosed with a wheat allergy 35 years ago. So wheat isn't everything. And then after that, I got diagnosed with soybean allergy, and then on and on and on and on. So I really pretty much try and stay, and I'm using the word try, it's not a word I use very often, but I do try to stay away from grains because my body aches. My body doesn't feel good. My joints hurt. So your physical health is so important, and staying away from processed foods is key. Yes, it's real quick to throw something together that frozen foods, but when you take a good look at the ingredient list on
Mm,
all of the processed foods that you buy at the store. Oh, dear Lord.
yes.
That beautiful, tasty ice cream, the amount of chemicals that are in that thing. I'm gonna give a plug for Breyers. Breyers All Natural, okay, 3 ingredients, that works. The, what was the other thing? Oh, we were looking at Cool Whip the other day. Sorry, Cool Whip. And a friend of mine made fresh, she made a butterscotch pudding, with caramel. Oh my god, it was out of this world, with homemade, um, whipped cream. And we got on
Beautiful.
the topic of Cool Whip, and I got on my phone and I looked on the ingredients of Cool Whip. Oh, good lord. I almost choked.
My
You know,
daughter-in-law and my husband both use that. There's a scan app that they actually do for products, so it's actually really interesting.
oh, what scan app is that?
I don't I don't know because I don't use it. I just ask them, so I don't know which one it is, but they both of them will actually scan food products all the time. And so my husband doesn't change what it is that he eats. He still eats whatever it is, but he's like, "Oh, this one's really bad for me." He's like, "Oh, I can have extra of these ones."
Oh, that's
But
hysterical. That's hysterical. So here's the last piece of the four-step system. Just succeed. Set your goals. Get a clear, and here's the thing with goals. A goal doesn't have to be written in stone. Sometimes we put so much pressure and stress on ourselves when it comes to creating our goals. Yes, it's nice to do the SMART goal thing: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Yes, I got all that. Okay. And we even talk about that in some of the goal setting programs we offer. But and SMART goals are wonderful because it helps you look at them
yes,
and see if they really are specific to your ideal client. Is it measurable when it comes to your ideal client? Can your ideal client and you achieve them? Is it relevant and time bound? I get all that. But sometimes we get ourselves so caught up in achieving the goal, we
yes,
get into the practical, tactical, and logical side of our equation that we forget about the spiritual, the intuitive, the emotional side of the house. And when we forget that, your goals become hard
yes,
because you're taking such tight control of setting your goals to succeed that you don't allow the universe to step in. The universe makes it easy. It's all about doing goal setting, being clear on your desires.
mhm,
Setting a time and a date is okay, but it's about having the energy of universe, this or better.
yes,
Universe, I want this or better, because then you don't have such a tight control. You don't have such a lock energy, and that locked energy can really be disastrous because if your goals keep falling through and falling through, there's a reason for it. And sometimes your goals are falling through because we're controlling them too tight. And we're not allowing the signals, we're not listening to the intuitive universal signals that come that are guiding us to an easier way of doing things that feels good and nourishes our mind, body, and spirit. And when we take our action plans and write them down, I will be the first one to tell you that and when I do an event, I start with the end in mind. Okay. And I work backwards. And every single thing down to the staple, down to the paperclip is organized. And this is boom, 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 boom. And then the day gets there and I go, okay, God, I did it all. It's all your turn. Whatever happens, happens. And I won awards in college for running events. And what I've learned is since college, not one event has ever gone off, gone off exactly as
right.
planned. And oftentimes it's better. So it's one thing to plan it,
Yep.
but it's about letting go of taking that deep breath and allowing your intuition to talk to you. That's really what it's all about, allowing your intuition in, because our intuition is very powerful. And when we plan things that tightly, we don't allow intuition to work. So, a real solid person, that harmonious place, is about having the practical, tactical, and logical harmonized with the emotional, the energetic, the spiritual, and the intuitive.
Yes.
And then the last part, which is my favorite part, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate,
And that
celebrate.
is and
Go ahead.
those little things, right? So like not just so like as you're succeeding, and that's one of the other things that I wanted to kind of add to that as well, is in terms of success, is that our success is measured by what we think that success looks like, not
Yeah,
necessarily what society thinks, how
right,
everybody else, what anybody else's
right.
perspective. It's our success. What does it look like for us that shows that little bit of success? And
Yeah,
so it's like, like being able to go into my trailer and go into my bedroom area, and it's not a very big space, but it's cozy, right? So like that is success. That is my room space is successful, even though everything else is chaotic in all the other areas. Like I can go into that space at the end of the day and know that it's like, oh, it's cozy, and so cozy that my grandson comes and climbs up. We got a little, because it's a very high bed, and we got a little step, and he just comes up there and he gets all cozy in my little plush pull, all of my pillows. And my daughter-in-law came in the one day where he come up and he just climbed right up on the bed, and then he just sat there and just relaxed, and it was like, okay, I'm ready to watch my show, right? So it was just beautiful for him to be able to just get into that space and just get nice and cozy. Our next goal for that is to be able to get all nice and cozy and get some reading done with him. So like that's our next step.
Well, the very last thing is get clear on what inspires you.
Beautiful.
Believe in your potential. Stay committed to your goals. Surround yourself with positivity. And when you do that, you do have the power to reignite where you are, reignite your prosperity, and achieve extraordinary success when you believe in yourself.
I
That's
love that.
really that's really what's important, believing in yourself.
Because it is so important, because if we don't believe in ourselves, it doesn't matter what we do, what steps we take, how we're going to what we're going to what's going to happen. We are not going to be able to get that success or that feeling of contentment
Mhm.
um, until we get that space. And I often hear people say like, oh, I'm stuck in this dead end job. You don't have to be. What
Yeah.
inspires you? Where do you need to go? How do you need to be able to shift? You may have to financially be in this job right now, but where do you want to go? How do you want to be able to
Yeah.
get there? What are the next steps?
Mhm.
Right?
And sometimes people really get stuck in, "I just don't know how to do it." And it's like, "Okay, let's take a step back. Let's look at the big picture." A lot of the steps we talked about already, and if we work with all of those steps,
Mhm.
um, that feeling of being stuck, one of the areas that I get into is, clearing the self-sabotaging emotions, that baggage, that emotional baggage that just holds on tightly to us, and a lot of that we get from growing up. We may have people in our lives who keep sharing with us, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, yeah. Why do you want to do that?" That kind of language. So we start to second guess ourselves. We start to think that we're not good enough. We lack self-worth. We're not important enough, that kind of thing. And what I do is I get very much into, um, I studied emotion code and body code, which I think you're familiar with, Raleigh.
Yes, ma'am.
Emotion code and body code, they're really big in what I do in my practice because a lot of folks are very successful who come to me, yet there are certain projects, certain things that they can't cross that finish line. And I get in there, and that's why they call me the intuitive truth detective. I get in there because I can see things a lot of other people can't see.
Yeah.
And we clear out all of that emotional baggage that held them back. And sometimes it's something that goes all the way back to childhood that or even past life. It's people say past life. I go, yeah, past life. Trust me on that one. Um, you know, we bring things in. Our soul cannot learn everything it needs to learn in one lifetime.
Cool.
Um, it really can't. And the beauty is being able to understand that when you can clear out that stuff that is in your DNA, by the way. It's in your cells, because our emotional baggage, we carry when a trauma happens, for example, somebody has PTSD, that emotional trauma lives inside of you, and
Yeah.
it can settle in different organs and or in different cells or in different glands, different muscles, and one of the things that Dr. Bradley, the creator of Emotion Code and Body Code, often says is that over 95% of our illnesses manifest with emotions. They're subconscious emotions. So when we clear that out, the person can become more congruent in how they think, how they feel, and they just feel better. And the symptoms start to reduce. So when you want to reignite and reconnect, finding someone out there who can help you clear out the emotional baggage that is in your way really is very helpful.
And it really is. And like, I just wanted to touch before we actually clear out, you were actually talking about the past lives. And I know that there's so many people, like in terms of different religions, and like everybody has their beliefs. But one of the things growing up Catholic was that I would hear all the time, oh, like there's nothing that like past lives, like there's no reincarnation. It's not true. And it's like, but yet my grandmother would say, oh, this one has such an old soul. How do you have an old soul if it doesn't reincarnate? Like, how does that happen? Right. So like that was just one of the things that I always
I was
felt
also raised Catholic. And when I went, I always felt that I had been here before. Always felt that, even as a child, I just had this inner knowing. And I went to Valparaiso, Chile on a trip, and I'm walking through the city, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never even heard of this place before. And I knew where I was going, what I was doing. And 2 months before, I had no idea of the city. And when I got home to my parents' house in Miami, the neighbor next door, I was telling him about my experience, and he said, hold on a minute. And he got the book Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. And I read that book, and that night was the night that I realized that everything that I knew and had been feeling and had been sensing, it was true. And it was such validation for me.
Yeah.
And it helped me understand so much. And, Dr. Weiss really put his career on the line 30 years ago, 35 years ago, when he wrote that book. But it's spot on. And I do believe in it very, very much. And I do believe that when we clear out what no longer works for us that we've brought into this lifetime, magic happens. I mean, we're here, and when we clear it out, the buck stops here. It doesn't go further.
Yes. And it's just so important for us to be able to do that. So I really love, and I just want to kind of recap. So step 1 was regroup. Step 2 was reconnect. Step 3 was recharge. And step 4 was succeed. And then the last part of it was, like you said, to celebrate and just really get clear on what inspires us. And so for those of you who are listening, please write those down and have a look at them. And I also, for anybody who's on my business page, Facebook, and YouTube, I've shared the link of quickshift.com. And
no, quickshiftzone.com.
Oh, okay, then that's not going to work. So quickshiftzone.com. So go and have a look. So I don't know who quickshift.com is. So hopefully it's something good. But yeah, so quickshift.com. Perfect. So, but definitely go and have a listen and go and have a look at that. And looking forward to being able to connect with you again, Terry. This was amazing. And thanks so much for recharging our Chatting with Wisdom series, because we've been offline for a little bit, for quite a few weeks. So thank you so much for recharging this part and getting us back into our weekly interview series. So thanks so much, everybody, for listening. And thanks. Ashley was actually on live and said she was cooking her spaghetti sauce while she was listening to us tonight. So thanks for listening in this heat. We are in a heat wave right now up here in northeastern Ontario. So it is pretty warm. And so I commend you for making spaghetti sauce. We're only eating cold food today. We're not eating anything that requires cooking. So thanks again, Terry, for joining us and
Thank
being
you.
here and sharing your wisdom. And for everyone else, have a beautiful day, and we will talk soon. Bye for now.
Take care.